left.
Hello everybody and welcome. It's Sunday, which means it's time to round out the week of Misfits Racing League action, starting of course with the APAC Division, the last tier division of the week, the last tier division of the season. And joining me for the finale here in Abu Dhabi is of course Seb. Seb, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm great as always. Unicorn, how are you yourself?
Excited to see how we round things out here in APAC. Obviously, we've already got the standings wrapped up. We've got a Mercedes win, not only in the constructors here, but the combined constructors as well. That was wrapped up earlier in the week across the other divisions, but to say the least, Mercedes here have been very successful in APAC. They have got 690 points to their names, clear of second place AlphaTauri 372. Ben the Bear's our champion as well, 452 points after 18 podiums and 17 wins. A very, very dominant season from him, but I don't think he's here today. And given that he's been the one who's been winning almost every race this season, it'll be interesting to see if that opens up a slot for someone else to win, or whether, for the 5th time this season, Mikkel will take the top spot here in Abu Dhabi. And having a quick look at that track, 21 turns, 2 DRS zones, down, of course, out of turn 7, and then out of turn 10. Very close back-to-back there, and the detection zone between turns 9 and 10 make this one very, very interesting. Those overtakes down into turn 8 can quickly be switched back into turn 11. With that being said, though, we're just about ready to get going here. We've got what looks like a grid of 12 drivers here for tonight's race.
Yeah, we're just missing Stars and Ben the Bear, as you mentioned before. Obviously, they were going to attend, but something's come their way that they'll be able to show up. But yeah, we have a potential good one here. 12 races doesn't mean we can't have some good time, but we'll have to see how this goes.
You know, not sure why Stars is not attending, but we know Ben the Bear yesterday in last night's endurance race around Austria, his controller decided to pack itself up in the final few laps of that race. His right trigger broke, so given that he doesn't have a fully functioning throttle, it means he can't end his season in style here in Abu Dhabi, which I'm sure he's disappointed about, but at least he doesn't need to drive here to wrap up the championship. He did that a few weeks ago, but as we load in, as always, as we've seen all week, it is dry here for qualifying. I imagine it's dry for the race as well. There's the 12 drivers we've got. We've got Dorshui, combined YouTuber, Varrock, Matt, Rutanius, Mikkel, Captain of Gold, Emzo, Sid, Sandeezy, Coffee Sipper, and Helium there. So a couple of reserves in the form of Coffee Sipper, Rutanius. I think that's just about a Varrock as well. But we'll see. We've already got Helium popping out the pit lane as well as one of the racing points there. Just coming out now onto the track, and it is Rutanius there, Tier 3 champion. So we may not have the APAC Division champion, but we do have a champion on the track tonight in that racing point, and we'll see what happens. But it's Helium leading the charge down onto the first of the 2 DRS straights, and like we were saying, plenty of overtaking down here. You would expect, we've seen it all week long. As we come down towards turn 8 and 9, we'll go through on board with him in a moment when he does start the flyer. Whether it's he or Rutanius, not leaving a lot of space between the two. You don't want to be bunched up, and unlike Austria where we were at yesterday, a much longer lap here. So you want to be able to make sure you get all the runs in, and that's why we're seeing cars come out of the pits pretty quickly. Invalidations as well, they've been plaguing a few of the flying laps this week. But hopefully for the drivers, they've got that under control.
Yeah, and it's kind of common around here. We have a lot of these corners which just have tarmac to the side of them. A little bit of AstroTurf, as you'll see through this hotel section. And it's quite easy to cut a corner or just extend slightly and invalidate your lap time or get warnings in the race, which do lead to penalties.
Yeah, absolutely. And here we go on board with Helium. And like Ben the Bear, my controller deciding to have issues of its own. So we're going to have to go from the outside of the Williams. But he comes through turn 1 into turn 2. Fairly fast first few corners. One of the biggest rundowns here. Down into turn 5 on the opening lap. We've seen a few incidents through here. Into the 6 and out to the hairpin of 7. A section of track that is getting changed in real life. Whether we'll see it in the new game, well, that's just something we'll have to wait and see. But onto the DRS zone, down out of turn 7, running down towards turn 8. And the Williams doing very, very nicely so far on this lap. Obviously, nothing to compare it to as he comes through turn 8, 9. and out through the very, very invisible turn 10. Just a slight left-hander through onto the second DRS straight. There's been a yellow flag that looks like Sand Easy has had a problem. We'll stay on board though with Helium. We are now actually on board with as he comes through the 11, 12, 13 corners. And a 14, making sure not to invalidate on the exit there. Now flying through 15 and 16 into the hard braking zone at 17. You can see plenty of people run wide here in the race if they're trying to fight a little bit too aggressively through that section of track. Side by side doesn't really bode well with how the corners twist back in on themselves and flow into opposite corners. But here we are into the final turn for Helium. The Williams is going to cross the line with a 134.1 to open us up. Let's have a look. What did Ruteni is invalidated? He is into the pit lane. We'll hop back to the Alfa Romeo of Matt, who will be next to cross the line, provided it all goes well for him through the final sector. Coming into the final corner now, the Alfa Romeo, a 134.1 to beat and a 134.7, so not able to get himself onto the top slot yet. Captain of Gold, Emzo, they're both on the medium compound tires. Emzo's on an invalid lap though. Captain of Gold though, the only Mercedes here tonight. And could he finally get that win, Seb? You know, he's been on the podium 9 times.
Yeah, I'd like to see it happen. He's been talking about it being a goal all season just to grab a win. He does have good challenge up though of Mikel, our runners up here in the APAC Division. Well, you can always spoil the party. The medium tyres, interesting choice, but talking before the race, we obviously know that there are 2 options here, and well, there's a wide variety actually of options to pick from in the race for strategy. You can do a 2-stop soft, medium, medium, or starting from softs, or do a 2-stop starting from mediums. Potentially even do a 1-stop starting from mediums as well. But it's just a lot of options to pick from, and it tends to have tight racing around here, especially with those 2 DRS straight.
Yeah, well, Captain of Gold was fast. It's a 133.7 on the mediums. Sid, though, a 133.1, so starting to put himself above the rest of the pack. 6/10 clear. Obviously, he's on the softs, though. We've got a few other drivers. We've got Dorshui there, Rutenius in the pits. They've opted to go to the mediums, so we'll see when they decide to come out. We're on board with Combined YouTuber now. In the front as he invalidates. Coming through the final sector. He will not be happy with that one. But now he is going to push. Once again, it wouldn't have been the fastest lap of the session, but it would have been P3. So I'll be slightly annoyed that that one's been invalid. It looks like he might be trying to push again here with the fuel light on. So he might not have, you know, the availability to run in a rich fuel mix, but there it is. An invalidation coming wide out of turn 3 into 4. And I'll be very annoyed at himself for that one. Sand Easy yet to set a lap time. He's swinging into the pit lane. Oh, and he's crushed it.
Oh,
He's just broken the front left suspension clean off the car. And you hate to see that here early in the qualifying session. Captain of Gold now trying to find his way around the car into the pit lane.
well, that if he just before the exit of turn 20 cut the inside, sorry, entry I should say, cut the inside and invalidates, and he pulls straight at the pits, and he's gone in way too hot. Wow, that's not a great way to start your day.
Yeah, definitely a knock to the confidence there. No one on a flyer, but Dorshui won't be far off in the Williams. Again, another driver on the mediums. We'll see what he's got. Here he comes across the line to start the flying lap down towards turn 1. It's a 133.7 to beat on the mediums. Sit right now, top of the time. It's out 133.1. But you imagine that is sort of unattainable for those on the mediums. Very, very impressive lap time if they do get it. Purple sector 1, though, according to the track map for Dorshui. He's had 1 podium this season. Down in 16th place, 31 points. So not too bad. There's been a lot of points handed around in the APAC, you know, sort of aided by the fact that the grids haven't always been so full, so there's more points around than no points. But there's Matt getting out the way, annihilating the 100-meter braking board as he does so. Through out of turn 9, then through turn 10. Again, DRS enabled for the Williams as he approaches the tricky corners of 11, 12, 13. Pretty nicely done through there then for the Williams, and no invalidations. A little bit of a lock-up as he entered 11, but nothing that will have cost him too much time as he flies through these fast right-handers into the tight braking zone at turn 17 and then into 18. It's so tricky to go side by side through here. We've seen it a couple times. Some people do brave it through there, but now the Williams through into the final two corners, turn 20 into 21. It's a 133.7 to beat. It's going to be close, but it's a 134.4. So P4 for Dorshery, not too bad. Walk back down to Varrock. He's flying. I think Rutanius is flying ahead of him, and Mikkel even further ahead there on the lap. The Australian Championship runner-up, his thorn in his side, Ben the Bear, not here tonight, so he could make it 5 wins here in Abu Dhabi. Emzo on 32.6. That is a huge lap time compared to what we've seen so far. See if anyone could topple that, but right now that is head and shoulders above the rest. He is a second faster than Captain of Gold in P3. Let's see if Mikkel could bring the time down. I know he can't, but it's close to 132.9, so P2 right now.
You'd expect Captain of Gold to come out on softs, and he has already switched to them in the pit lane, so I expect him to come out and do a very good lap time, considering that medium lap was done fairly early in the session.
Well, everyone, you know, we've got... There's Helium off in the right. The Williams has spun around. It doesn't look like Varrock pushing too hard here. He's definitely dropped this lap.
That's not the first time we've seen someone drop it at turn 3. It's a very easy... turn 3 it is, sorry. It is a very easy spot to lose it, especially when you're on that limit. Get a bit of that inside curb or go a bit too wide, and you can really put yourself in some danger of losing your front wing, or even worse, your suspension on a wall on that right-hand side.
Yeah, a lot of invalidations coming out here. People not on flyers. Coffee Sipper, though. He's starting his lap. His current best at 134.8. Back out on the softs, and we've seen, you know, a few drivers go faster on the medium, so maybe Coffee Sipper sort of slowed down that first lap to try and leave the door open for a medium run. We'll see whether that's the case as he opens DRS here. Reserving is the Dutchman alongside his fellow countryman Rutanius. Remco van Putten, the resident Dutchman of the APAC Division, not here this week. The Red Bull has wrapped up P4 in the championship. But Coffee Sipper here, reserving in that Red Bull. And flying now out of turn 10 down towards turn 11. And there he is. We'll see whether he can keep this valid. And it's nicely done through there for him. And he can keep pushing now out of 14 into this very unique section of the track. These fast right-handers into a very slow one. Switching back into a left-hander pretty quickly. Getting across that track very quickly in order to get the angle in. And then out of there for Coffee Sipper. There's a car on the right-hand side of the track. Gets around that. No problems. Through the penultimate corner. Into the final one for the Red Bull. His previous best of 134.8. Where does he put himself? A 134.264. So just under 6/10 gain there. And that puts him P6. So we can be happy with that one. Matt, well, I think he's just crashed. Seb, Sid might get a view of this, but the Alfa Romeo is off, it would seem, coming out of turn 19. And there he is. He's right across the track.
Oh. Now, luckily, Rutanius and Sid were both not on laps. Otherwise, that would be absolutely ruined. Their line into 20 would have been well and truly compromised, and potentially they would have had that thought just in their back of their heads going into the final two corners, but they don't, and they've got a clean run of it now. But obviously Matt just dropped it out of 19, didn't he?
Yeah, he did get a valid run in a 134.7, so only faster than Varrock at the moment, but still, you know, at least he's got a time on the board. He did have an invalidation, and obviously now crashing. Again, not a huge confident booster, just like Sand Easy, but at the same time, it's better to have the issue here in qualifying than it is to have it in the race. So hopefully for him, he's got it out of his system. Sid, though, he was provisional pole. He's been knocked down by Emzo and Mikal in P1 and 2 respectively, but we'll see whether the Renault driver, well, not with lines like that. He's dropped the lap there. Struggling through out of 9. We'll go on board with the driver behind him, Rutanius, on the mediums in the Racing Point. Tier 3 champion. There's Coffee Sipper right on the apex. And that has cost Rutanius massively. The two Dutch drivers have just come together. And Rutanius, he will not be best pleased. There's an end plate missing off of that Racing Point. He will have to bring that back to the pit lane. And now he might have to go for a soft run, even though it would seem he wants to start on the mediums.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate for him. I thought he had a good lap going, or at least building, and then have like something like that happen. It's never great, but we'll see what he does. I think he'd, if he wants to start on those mediums, which he probably could get away with, he'd just come into the pits and then refuel. I was going to say, I thought Coffee Sipper might have run out of fuel because I saw yellow flags at the start of that straight, out of 9 through 10, but it looks like he was fine at the end of the day, so I don't understand what he was doing, blocking the middle of the track there.
Well, Varrock's called it quits in the pit lane. Emzo, though, he is flying. He's currently top of the tyre town. We'll see whether he can retain that, although he is down coming out of Sector 2, so the McLaren not able to dethrone himself here at the moment. Captain of Gold ahead of him. He's just slotted himself into P2 while all that was going on with the two Dutch drivers, so a big lap from him and puts him in a great place if he wants to try and get his first and only win of the season, because it is the last round. We've been doing this for 22 weeks now. It's crazy to think that it's gone over as, oh, Emzo just invalidates through the penultimate corner. That's tough to swallow for the McLaren driver, but he gets it back into the pit lane, and there's time for one more run for everyone here. Mikal is just ahead of combined YouTuber out on track. He's currently sitting P3. The only other winner other than Ben the Bear this season. 4 times for Mikal. 16 podiums, though, for the AlphaTauri driver. It's been a good season. A few hiccups here and there, but for the most part, very, very consistent in scoring those podiums and doing what he needs to do for AlphaTauri. Obviously, not enough to topple the absolutely incredible performance from Mercedes, but Mikal here in the APAC Division, 331 points. Very, very good season from him. And now he'll be going for his final run of the session as a few more people start to trickle out of the pit lane as well. And Rutanius is back out on the mediums, so he's going to risk it all. One good lap on those mediums. That's all he needs, but we'll see whether he's capable of doing so.
Well, I think if he didn't get that wing damage, he might have just stayed out and ended up having 2 runs back-to-back to finish off the session, but obviously he didn't get that due to an incident with Coffee Sipper at turn 11. So, like you said, he'll have that one last run with no real warm-up, to be honest. He's just going to have to send it the whole way, or he'll be cautious and just try and get at least a lap in to get some decent position on the grid.
Yeah, well, here goes Mikal then. P3 at the moment, 132.9, 132.6 is current pole. All drivers, bar Dorshui, on an outlap or a flyer. A few drivers as well retired from the session. Varrock in the pit lane. Sandeezy into the pit lane. And Matt into the wall. So we've seen a lot. Mikal already up 2/10 coming out of Sector 1. It's a great start to what could be the pole lap time. We'll see what he's got, though, as he comes out of turn 7. DRS enabled for the AlphaTauri down towards turn 8. It's a great run here, and we'll see that in the race where we've got a lot of overtaking down into this corner, I'm sure. Through into turn 8, getting it switched over into 9, and nicely done so far. Out of 10, DRS enabled for him as he hugs the left hand side, keeping 2 wheels on the track at all time, but using all of the track that he can. Up nearly half a second now. This is a good lap. This would be pole position if everything was to stay as it is, and he wraps it up nicely in Sector 3. Coming through into the fast few corners, into 17. Not too bad through here, getting it switched over for 18 into 19, and he's just stepped wide. He's just invalidated the lap time. It would have been such a brilliant lap. He's going to round it out for us anyway, so we'll get to see what the time would have been. It would have been a 1:32.2, and that would have been pole by 4/10. That's combined YouTuber going 5th fastest. Captain of Gold, can he defeat Emzo, who's behind him? We've got a couple of other drivers as well flying. I think Rutanius will be next across the line on the mediums. He's still valid here, but my goodness, to Mikhail, that is heartbreaking. What can Rutanius do on the medium tires? It's a 1:33.1. That's a strong time for him. P5 on the mediums. Coffee Sipper, well, he's invalidated. Sid looks like he's gone off here. And he's invalid as well. So we'll go back to Captain of Gold in the Mercedes. P2 right now. Can he steal pole away? The man currently sitting in that is right behind him there in the McLaren. Both Mercedes-powered cars here. Going at it to the line. And hopefully we are saying that all the way throughout the race as well. But the Captain of Gold now coming through. Turn 19. Towards the final 2 corners. I don't know if Sid got in the way there. And well, yeah, he definitely did. And now that's thrown the line off. And that's, well, good news for Emzo, who's going to call it into the pits as well. He knows that he doesn't have to defend against that lap. So the end of qualifying there. Pretty unproductive for almost every driver bar probably Rutanius and combined YouTuber said.
Yeah, it's just, that was a very weird ending, wasn't it? Sid invalidated his lap time early on and he sent it into the wall at the, I believe it was turn 14, trying to DNF, and I don't know what he ended up doing. I definitely got in the way of Captain of Gold, and that would have offsided him into turn 20. That's why we saw him go wide. That was a potential pole lap as well, so I don't think he'll be too happy with that, but he has a chance now in the race to do something. Obviously, Mikhail behind, and Rutanius is looking very good in P5.
Yeah, absolutely. We have never seen anyone in APAC walk away with a win other than Ben the Bear and Mikhail. Neither of those drivers start on the front row here. We've got Emzo in the McLaren. He's P8. He's never even sat on the podium here in APAC Division, and now starts on pole position. Captain of Gold starts P2. 1.5 tenths behind him, but he could have beaten that time with that final run, but it wasn't to be. Mikhail, well, he could have had a strong time as well for pole, but he invalidated his lap coming out of turn 18. Then Sid in P4. Rutanius starts on the mediums in P5. Very, very dangerous looking for the Tier 3 champion. He could do some great things in this race. Combined YouTuber starts 6th ahead of Helium. Coffee Sipper starts 8th in the Red Bull. Dorshui in the Williams. He's on the mediums as well in 9th. Matt, after crashing out, starts 10th for Rock. Retired early in that session. And Sandeezy as well crashed into the pit lane. But I do believe Varrock had a time. It just wasn't too spectacular, given it was fairly early on in the session. But again, dry race, and we expect nothing else. As we load in. Apparently, desync was the issue between Coffee Sipper and Rutanius when we saw the incident down into turn 11 between the two Dutch drivers. So, very, very unfortunate. Hopefully, nothing of the sort rears its head here in the race. But it's the final of APAC Division. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in here on the YouTube as always. F2 and APAC on a Sunday are streamed here on the YouTube channel as well. We post all our highlights, race replays from the races that are streamed on the Twitch. And as well, a massive shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing. If you're looking for a sim racing rig, wheel stand, or motion sim, check them out in the link in the description down below. They're doing great things for sim racing community, and we really be appreciative as we get into the formation lap here. And already a bit of a rocket start for Emzo, making sure to just get himself in the mood for racing. There is the starting tyres, as we said. You know, the only two drivers outside the top 10, they've gone for the mediums, but Emzo once more starts alongside Captain of Gold, Mikhail, Sid, Rutanius combined, Helium, Coffee Sipper, Dorshui, Matt, Varrock, and Sandeezy. 4 mediums on the grid, 8 soft runners, and we'll see how that plays into things. Safety cars have been a factor. We saw it in Tier 2. They played a bit of a role there where it was a perfect strategy for the soft runners with the timing of that safety car. And that meant that the medium runners, their advantage was just sort of wiped away from underneath them. We'll see whether something similar happens here. The reverse could be true. It could come out at a brilliant time for the medium runners and ruin the soft runner strategies, but we'll see. It's just a waiting game here as they come out onto the second DRS straight on the formation lap. 28 laps here around the Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi. And in the last race, it could be the first time we see our third winner of the season. It's just a case of who will it be. Mikhail, though, still here. He could take the win. Seb, any thought, any predictions as to who will win this race?
Well, we all know Mikhail is a class act, and he can certainly deliver when Ben the Bear is not here. And we've seen that obviously 4 times that Ben the Bear hasn't been able to capitalise or he's had an issue. Mikhail's been there to gobble at the opportunity, but mind you, Captain of Gold wasn't there for a couple of them, so Captain of Gold is certainly a chance. Emzo's showing some good pace, although, as we saw at the end of qualifying, Captain of Gold on for a great lap, and that was kind of interrupted by Sid's stricken Renault. But it should be a good one, at least for the fight at the front. Rutanius is there as well, and obviously he did a great job in Tier 3. You could see him do a great job here.
Absolutely, that was a little bit of a chaotic race for the Dutchman, but we'll see whether this one's a little bit more tame for him. Starting on those mediums with P5, very strong spot, but we've seen Captain of Gold. He wants that win. He'll be hungry for it here. The opportunity, probably the best he's had all season. But here we are, getting those last few cars onto the grid. Sandisi running out up, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights here for the last time this season for the APAC Division, and it's lights out, and away we go here at the Yas Marina circuit. Good start for Emzo. Captain of Gold slotting behind him to stop Mikhail. The Red Bull of Coffee Sipper snapping to the inside. There's been contact between the racing point of Rutanius and Dorshui through turn 1. As we come through, everyone trickling in. Sandisi, what a rocket launch he's had. He's up 5 places already. Coffee Sipper wide again here as they come down towards turn 5. The Red Bull looking for a way past, doesn't find it, and already it's a bad start for Rutanius. He's back in and amongst the drama, just like he was earlier in the week. Coffee Sipper under pressure from Matt. Nothing changing there, though. Back up at the front of things. Captain of Gold, tight to the rear of Emzo. Could he go for a move on the first lap? No DRS, of course, down into turn 8, but up the inside goes the Australian in the Mercedes. Can he get his way through? Mikhail's there as well to take the McLaren, and Emzo's around. Emzo's been clipped by the Australian and Mikhail, and he will not be happy with that one. Already the win slipping through his fingers, but it's Captain of Gold leading in lap 1. Mikhail in P2, sits in P3 ahead of combined YouTuber. And my goodness, the 2 racing points they're exchanging here. And Sandisi almost going around, manages to catch the car, almost clusters together with Varrock there. But my goodness, what an opening to this race we've had.
Oh yes, Captain of Gold just went a little bit too deep into 8, but Emzo himself just couldn't get that undercut to go. Switch the outside line and you have a better look, and that just meant he got trapped by Mikhail and he took too much heat into turn 9, and that just saw him, I should say, careering into the side of Mikhail and setting him spinning around. Unfortunate, but it's racing, and that's what sometimes happens, especially with that curb on the inside of turn 9. You don't normally want to take a lot of it.
So he is having a little look up the inside of Matt there. Dorshui into the pit lane at the end of lap 1. Not the way you want to start a race, but we'll see how things unfold for him. Coffee Sipper, Matt, Rutanius, Sandisi on Varrock behind them up the inside, going down into turn 5, and he gets that move done and dusted on those mediums on both racing points. We'll see whether that costs them in the strategy, whether they might have to come in together. We've got a few cars side by side. Matt and Coffee Sipper coming out of the corner. Can Mikhail get the run on Captain of Gold, just like Captain did on Emzo last lap? No, not to be. No DRS, of course, on lap 2. We'll get that next lap, provided that we don't have any safety cars. Mikhail, he's used one of his ERS for this lap.
I believe we've just both missed a potential 3 wide into turn 8, and that's just seen Rutanius lose a position to Sandisi. Now Sandisi's all over the back of Matt.
All these sort of 4 or 5 drivers have been locked together, and they're dropping back substantially on the top 5ers. I think there's been an issue for the Williams of Helium ahead. You can see how he's now dropping back into this fight. And it's not been a good start to the race for either of the Williams now. And Helium is all over the place, shaking there. I wonder whether there's overheated tyres. We're on board with Sandeezy, who's got a great view of this, as Coffee Sipper might get able to get a run here on Helium if Helium keeps struggling. Top 4 now, sort of running away. Mikau, he's in a great place to take advantage of the DRS now that will have been enabled. Captain the Gold, though, another fastest lap for him. So still pushing, still improving for him. Matt having a look at the inside of turn 1 on Coffee Sipper. Side by side, the Red Bulls off the track. They're just around, holding on the outside. Matt just hugging the gearbox, and they've lost a lot of speed to Sandeezy, who sweeps around the outside of 1. Can he get 2? Down into turn 5 on the inside for the Racing Point. And 2 for 1 for him. Great move. Matt and Coffee Sipper come together. Rutanius will take Matt. And my goodness, the Racing Points are taking full advantage of this. Coffee Sipper's missing an end plate there behind Varrock. Emzo, they're looking to gobble up Matt as well as they come down this DRS straight. All of these cars in a huge gaggle here, all fighting for the bottom few points positions. And my goodness, there's Matt around the outside of Emzo, trying to defend P10, but he drops out of the points. And not a good lap for him. And I think Helium there off the track, he's really struggling. Looks like there might be a bit of a portion of his front wing missing. And there's a VSC. Oh. What for?
Potential debris, I believe. That might be the reason why. I've seen a bit of fall off rock over to a Coffee Sipper into turn 11 just as the virtual safety car came out. But wow, Coffee Sipper and Matt just getting a bit too eager on each other through turns 2 and 3, and that obviously allowed Rutanius and Sandeezy to get such a good run, and obviously compromised Coffee Sippers and Matt's runs through 5, 6, and 7.
Well, here we go. VSC restart, and Mikau's got a nice run here on Captain of Gold, and Sid's here as well, ready and waiting to see if anything goes astray here. Captain trying to hold it around the outside of 1 into 2, but Mikau is through there in the AlphaTauri. This will give DRS, though, to Captain of Gold. He's got an ERS advantage as well. Has a little look at the inside of 5. Not going to make the move there, of course, but DRS. Now Matt's out. Matt has crashed. Does this spawn anything? Maybe more severe than a VSC. Maybe we get a full safety car. Helium lost his entire front wing as well as Coffee Sipper's debris, so I imagine that's what's happening there. But Matt is out for the final race of the season. It's another DNF for him. Very, very unfortunate. Come back, Captain of Gold, though. Great run here as Sid also has a great run. Matt out of this one. Mikau just defending for Captain of Gold. He gets a little bit of a love tap from Sid behind, and that's going to cost them both times to Mikau. DRS for the pair of them, but Sid, the better run as Captain of Gold obviously had a bit of a compromised exit given the tap from Sid. Sid, though, very low on the battery. Mikau in the 40s, and Captain of Gold, they're up in the 50s. Emzo, Varrock, they're side by side. Emzo steaming past the Ferrari down into turn 11. Penalty starting to come through as well now. Sandeezy 3 seconds. Sid as well has 3 seconds too. A lot of drivers on the mediums now. Only 5 soft runners remaining after just 4 laps. That's not something you really expect, but with the opening few laps we've had, Seb, I can't say I'm too surprised.
Yeah, I've seen a bit of a jumbling up in the mid-pack and back of the field. Sandeezy's up 7, Emzo down 6. Starting from P1, Varrock up 3 and Helium down 4. So those are the biggest gainers and losers of the race so far. But yeah, it's an interesting one so far. We can see that front battle as well. That will definitely shape up as the race goes on. Hopefully we don't see too much wing damage for the rest of the race, but hopefully we just see some clean racing, because we have seen some good racing so far, but not necessarily clean.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of it. A lot of battling on the track, but now, like you say, some of that has resulted in contact, has separated the field up a little bit. Everyone just trying to settle into a rhythm here. Mikau in lead of things. This could give the opportunity for Captain of Gold to just sort of farm a little bit of ERS on the back of the Australian. You know, use the DRS that you do get down out of turn 7 and, of course, out of turn 10 as well. They've got Sid on them as well. He's sticking well with them here. Now that VSC just seems to close up there, maybe play the Delta a little bit better. But we'll see how this all unfolds throughout the race. No real on-track battling. This is the only couple of cars within DRS range of one another. Sandeezy ahead of Rutanius, and despite his qualifying, you know, where he ended in the pit wall, seems that he's got some pace here. So I wonder where he would have qualified had he been throughout qualifying the entire way. Obviously, we'll never know. Captain of Gold a little shaky out of the final corner as Mikau sets fastest up of the race at 138.1. The Captain of Gold here needs to make sure he stays within DRS range. He cannot let Mikau go, but he is struggling. He slid there again as he comes out of the first turn through turn 2 into 3, and he's just outside the 1 second window. He sneaks back inside it. He needs to make sure that these are good corners, 5, 6, and I think he's just done enough there to get himself back within the DRS range, and he does by about 1.5 tenths, but Captain needs to make sure he stays within this. Rutanius, because the second racing point to pick up a 3-second time penalty. 4th driver to get that black and white flag next to their name on the timing tower, but right now things very tame. Sid, he's dropped out of DRS range. The Captain of Gold. Captain will be very thankful about that one. And now it's just a 2-horse race for leader things. Or it might not have been if Captain of Gold had sent that spin, as the game having a little bit of a freeze frame for me there. And, well, this could be Mikau's opportunity. Apparently 1.6 seconds ahead, but I don't think that is in any way accurate. There's about 3 cars between the two of them, as Mikau has a little bit of a slide now coming out of turn 13. So a few of these setups seems to be a little bit, you know, slidey here, Seb. Obviously you want great straight line speed to overtake in those DRS zones, but we'll see how this sort of unfolds. We do have the 2 racing points. They're closing in as well. Rutanius catching the back of Sandeezy.
Yeah, well, you need to have ultra aggressive setups here, and being on the softs, they overheat quickly, and on top of that, when they have a bit of wear on them, they're not very good through those high load corners, especially turn 3. There's a chance we can see mistakes in turn 3, and I can see some races end, but we've got to hope that they keep it clean. Sid obviously dropping off the back of Captain Gold and Mick out due to not having as much ERS as a pair. It was around 10% at the start of turn 9 from last lap, as Emzo has just left the session, and we'll get him back in real.
Yeah, Sid, not only is he dropping off, he just picked up a 3-second time penalty as well. I think that might be his second of the session, and it is. So he's already at 6 seconds. That could cost him massively here. Captain, again, just trying to stay with Mikau here. This is his golden opportunity, his one last chance to win here in the APAC Division. Obviously, Mikau's not just going to roll over and let him have it, but Captain, he's brought the fight to Mikau a couple of times this season. He's been a great driver for the Mercedes squad. Very, very critical in that combined championship. Emzo back into session. You love to see that. Rutanius catching on Sandeezy here. He's going to be too far back for the move down into turn 11. But he is catching. He's starting to put pressure on. They're both catching combined YouTuber a little bit, especially through there. About 2/10 gain for Sandeezy on the Ferrari in front of them. But pressure starting to mount here. Helium, Coffee Sipper. There's an overtake. We haven't seen one for a little bit here since the opening few laps. But Coffee Sipper, Helium, both on 2-lap old medias. Both came in for new tyres. And, well, there's Coffee Sipper running over the curb there. Again, we're seeing a few people struggle. But we'll just see how it rolls out. Sandeezy, he's just within 1 second of the Ferrari ahead now. The game telling us the pit window is now open. We'll see whether that's the case for any of the drivers. Anyone takes that advice. And when the game suggests that it's the time to pit for us, that I imagine will mean the engineers will be talking. As Sid has had a problem. He is off the track. He has got some wing damage and quite a bit of it as well on that right-hand side. And you hate to see it for the Renault driver.
Yeah, he's just asking too much of his rear tyres, most likely. That's turn 3, like I said. You can catch people off guard on those soft tyres when they wear out and get a bit of heat in them. It tends to happen a lot if you're not careful, and you don't think it's too careful, and that's why we see him in the wall with no wing.
Yeah, we haven't got a timing tower now with Emzo rejoining, and riders' battles might be about to unfold here between the 2 racing points and the Ferrari combined YouTuber. 3 of these guys, they're about to go toe-to-toe. Can Sandeezy find it on the inside of 11? Yes, he can. But the Ferrari is going to try and hold it. Has to take the escape. And Rutanius picks up a 3-second time penalty. Maybe having to avoid combined YouTuber there, but both racing points passed combined. Combined, though, no penalties, so he can stick with these guys. It won't be too bad for him. Rutanius all over the gearbox of his teammate. Combined has been struggling. I think this is the soft starting to drop off in comparison to the mediums. We should start getting that timing tower back, you know, functioning, as it were. You can see now Delta's starting to reappear. Sid, of course, is going to hop into the pit lane. There goes a couple of cars past him. Emzo still with that red cross next to his name. Hopefully. Oh, Sid into the pit lane. And it's just what we saw for Sandeezy in qualifying. And my oh my, that is not how you want to round out your season. He hasn't been here too long, but when he was here, he's had some great finishes. The podium once now. Well, that's not going to happen again. Crashes out here in the finale. Abu Dhabi claiming its second driver of the evening.
Well, there was a chance coming into it that if Sandeezy had a bad race and Sid had a good race, Sid could have pipped him for P11 in the championship, trailing by 13 points, but that doesn't look like the case. Meanwhile, talking about Sandeezy, Rutanius with the DRS and what little ERS he has, looking around the outside into turn 11. They go side by side. No, they don't go about side by side because Rutanius has the corner before Sandeezy can get alongside.
Yeah, nicely done from the Dutchman. He does have a lot less ERS than his teammate, but we'll see whether that affects him here. You can see the red light blinking on the back of his car. Emzo rejoining the session once again as there's a yellow flag, and it is the aforementioned McLaren driver. He is around through 11-12. It has not been the best start to this race for him. He started pole position, now starts 7th. He had a spin early on. He's had a spin now after a disconnect, and it's really just gone from bad to worse for him. Points still on the table as Coffee Sipper now has a problem. And he's really been struggling here as well. Combined YouTuber, he's into the pit lane, so he is not happy. He's not satisfied that he got overtaken by those two racing points. He realizes the medians probably gave them a bit of an advantage over him. He's going to get off those softs and onto a fresh set of mediums. Captain of Gold, well, he's still got DRS on Mikhail, but he's dropping back. He is out of the 1 second range now. He's drawing himself back in, and he's struggling to keep up with his fellow countrymen. And as we stand, you know, Mikhail looking very comfortable in P1. It has to be said. Hasn't made too many mistakes all season, but he did make quite a colossal one last race. Coffee Sipper calls it in the pit lane. But going back to Mikhail, we did see him, you know, make an uncharacteristic mistake. Smacked it into the wall at Brazil, coming up the hill. See whether he can keep it out of the wall tonight, just like he's done in many of the other races. Like I say, 16 podiums for him. And that's over 21 rounds, so only 5 times he hasn't sat on the podium. So over 75% of the races, he's been in the top 3.
Both him and Captain and Golder look like they're struggling with tyres. I wouldn't be surprised if they pit soon. Looking like they're going to do the one stop from the source, which is very doable. It's a question of whether you have the pace for it, but looks like Captain Gold's called it into the pits. And if he is doing the same strategy as Mikhail, which Mikhail I believe would be doing a one stop, there's a chance he could get an undercut on him here.
Yeah, and the undercut, well, that could be his golden ticket to his first, his only win of the season. We've been saying it all, you know, race long. Coffee Sipper quitting after retiring in the pit lane. A struggle for him. We're down to 9 drivers. Captain of Gold, he exits the pit lane. Where is he going to be in relation to Varrock? He's going to be just behind the Ferrari, it would seem, and he is. There's the Ferrari steaming through turn 3. So coming up P5, he's ahead of Combined YouTuber, which is important here. He needs to make sure he dispatches Combined's teammate here nice and quickly, and enables him to sort of hunt down Mick out on this undercut. The DRS here might give him a little bit of a helping hand to make this outlap nice and quick. Obviously, Mikhail won't have any DRS, so this will make Captain of Gold's lap a lot quicker, especially with the fresh tyres. And now he just needs to hang on to 4th place, not let Varrock come back at him. Sandeezy on the rear of his teammate for the evening. Not able to find anything on Rutanius down into turn 11. But now, does Mikhail have to respond? Do you think the answer is yes? We'll see what he does as the AlphaTauri comes through into 18 and 19. But where does Captain of Gold land after Mikhail's pit stop? We expect to see it now. Obviously, the two drivers behind the medium runners. Here he comes. Mikhail into the pit lane.
Tell you what, Captain Gold looks like he is going to pit Mikhail right now. That is huge. You don't expect Mikhail to go onto the hards. I don't think he should. Let's see on. Looks like the mediums. So same call. Don't normally see drivers go onto the hards here unless they want to go really, really long at being at the back of the grid for whatever reason. They are not the best tyre around here. Mediums are definitely favoured.
Rutenius has spun as Captain of Gold. When he slips past Mikhail, how big is the gap? It might be a second here. It is. So what was a 1 second gap reversed. The undercut here has got Captain of Gold 2 seconds, and he will be in DRS range of Rutenius, I think. The timing tower didn't look like it was in his favor. I don't think it caught up, but does he get it? I don't think he's got it. So Mikhail now hunting down. He didn't get DRS either. Slips past Rutenius there. He's just holding it off on the inside, and he knows his tires are probably overheated, but Mikhail back within the 1 second window. But my goodness, Captain of Gold, the strategy could have been his saving grace here. We've seen Mikhail get past him and extend a gap before. Let's see if he could do it again for a second time in this race.
Well, now the main thing is just managing those tyres so you can have some life in them for the rest of the race, or at the end of the race, I should say. Mikhail is very good in his tyres, I know that's for sure. So he'll do a good job of looking after them, managing them, just allowing himself for a potential chance of slitting the race win away from Captain of Gold.
Well, it would be, you know, it's something we've been wanting and looking for quite some time. A different winner here in APAC, and we've been saying it all afternoon, but this is probably the best chance that Captain or anyone has had other than Ben the Bear or Mikhail. There have been a few opportunities where we thought we might see it, but again, every time either the Thai driver or the Australian finds a way. And right now, Captain of Gold looks like the only man who could challenge that. Rutenius looked good in qualifying. He's had to pit now onto some softs. It's going to be a medium soft for him. So I think he would struggle to win it. Sandeezy, well, he's already got a penalty to his name. It's possible with the reverse strategy, maybe, if he's fast enough on those softs at the end of the race. Who knows, but if there was a race where someone would win it, it's going to be this one. The two Ferraris exchange. Combined YouTuber on the fresh mediums past Varrock. There goes Mikhail. There's a problem up ahead. Is that Sandeezy into the wall? It's not into the wall, but he has spun it. I don't know if there's any damage on that car. I think it was on the inside, so I think he'd be hard-pressed to have lost any end plate. But just as I said, maybe he can win it on the reverse strategy. Well, for the second time, a Racing Point has thrown that opportunity away, it would seem.
Yeah, it's not good. I mean, they've got the combined constructors wrapped up. They're looking, well, they had a chance of pipping Renault in the APAC constructors, but it kind of looks like it's all falling away a bit now. They're still on for some good point scoring positions, but they could have had probably more than what they've had the chance of getting. But just before that happened, I was going to say, Mikhail is looking like he has superior pace over Captain of Gold. So I wouldn't be surprised if Mikhail's able to get it overtake and potentially pull away from him.
Well, we saw that before. Whether we see it again here as Varrock comes into the pit lane. They've caught Sandeezy as well. And that sort of saves Captain a bit. He's got DRS now, which makes it harder for Mikhail to overtake. But I think this might just be a case of, you know, oh, Mikhail getting very close. But I think it's just sort of delaying the inevitable here. Like you say, Mikhail definitely a pace advantage compared to Captain of Gold. right here as Captain will get through on Sandeezy. Can Mikhail do the same? He's going for it on the inside of 11. He's going to try and get the boat.
Don't
That's a
tell
little
me.
bit greedy.
Oh.
And he doesn't get it, and that puts the racing point side by side with him. And Sandeezy fights back. 13 lap of mediums. And maybe this is the opportunity Captain needs. 1 second window broken. Captain of Gold has to run away right now. And oh, Mikhail's into the back of him. He's lost an end plate.
I was just about to say, has the potential of going for a move into turn 17, but he just didn't line him up properly. He was going for the lunge, but he just runs to the back of Sandeezy, doesn't read it properly. And oh, that's so painful to see for Mikhail, but it's so good to see for Captain the Gold.
Oh, and he was indecisive as well. He wasn't sure whether he wanted to pit or not, and that's cost him even more time now. And it's 2.9 seconds. Captain of Gold, well, he's got 13 laps, but Seb, this is looking promising for him. It's looking promising. Emzo on fresher tires than Helium is within striking distance, but my goodness, Mikhail, we said he made an uncharacteristic mistake in Brazil. He's made another one here. A misjudged overtake put him in a battle with Sandeezy. The tire advantage in Mikhail's favor. He was too quick into turn 17 and loses an end plate. And my goodness, that is tough to swallow for the Australian here. Emzo on the rear of Helium. He'll be looking for a move down into turn 8. But what drama we're seeing at the midpoint in the race.
I'll tell you what, combined YouTuber in 4th position. Quiet race, obviously, but he's doing his job well. He's just under 10 seconds off the leaders, so I know we don't see that much pace for him, but he's doing a job. Meanwhile, Rutanius, yeah, look at that run he has on both the McLaren and the Williams. He's just going to swoop around the outside on those fresher soft tyres than Helium and Emzo, and he'll swoop into P6, but can Helium and Emzo come back?
Well, there goes Helium. He's going to try it on the racing point. He's on the inside. Rutanius later on the brakes, though. Emzo really has a great view of this. Takes it a little bit too much to the corner. I imagine that would have been a warning for the McLaren. Tried to look for it on Helium. Sandeezy. Penalty for him. That's going to make his life a bit tricky at the end of things. Lap 16 for the leaders now. But my goodness, Rutanius starting to pull away on these softs. Trying to score some last-ditch points for the Racing Point squad in the combined, obviously. They won't be winning that. That's all wrapped up. But just making his total a little bit nicer for the season.
I mean, we can see combined. We know combined hasn't shown great pace throughout the season, but he's showing a great showing right now. Sandeezy with that 3-second time penalty yet to pit as well, so he'll have to do that in the next couple of laps, and we could see combined get a podium here. Shui's not showing any signs of getting up to him for P4, which will turn into P3. Rutanius is too far away to make any gains on those soft tyres, so as long as we don't have a safety car, it could be on for a good one. Here comes Emzo and Helium now.
Now the McLaren, great run on the Williams. You know, fresher tyres will be helping that, but Helium must be... He's not even pushing it back. I thought he was going to be, but he's got great pace right now, and later on the brakes as well. That stops the McLaren going for a lunge on the inside, and just not getting a move on this lane. Really being held up here. Rutanius already 3 seconds clear of these two, but here, this surely is the run for the McLaren. Side by side they go out of turn 10 towards turn 11. Later on the brakes though for the Williams on the inside, trying to hold it, but it's not going to happen. And Emzo finally through. The man who sat on pole now back into P7, but still a bad race. It's got to be said for the McLaren driver, just trying to mitigate the damage. Sandeezy into the pit lane. Obviously, he started on those mediums just as his teammate who were on board with here did. Rutanius had a bit of an incident earlier on, though. That's forced him onto the start a bit earlier than he would have liked, but he's getting some positions here. A little wide coming through the penultimate turn. And now a great run. As I look at the inside, not going to get it, though. Come on, Rutanius. He's going to try it, but he's just got so much pace. In these sauce, he just can't get fast. He can't find it. And, oh, he's out.
Another victim at turn 3. And I wonder if this could bring out a safety car.
It's a VSC.
A VSC.
Where is that car? It's just nestled in the corner there. And that is... No. It's not easy. They're having to slow right down for the gap. Mikhail right now playing the Delta very nicely. He's catching Captain of Gold, and he's still got that end plate damage, but it's not costing him too much here. He just needs to make sure he plays it right.
He's been there and thereabouts. He's been there or thereabouts. He hasn't. I don't want to say he's really been gaining on Captain of Gold, but there you go. I'm not sure how much Captain of Gold is pushing those tyres. Just trying to make them to the end, make sure they survive. Green flag racing again, but yeah, there's 3/10. There's 4/10 there for Mikhail from that VSC. So he's playing it smart here, but it's just whether Captain of Gold is pushing the limits of that car. Or he's just taking it easy. I suspect he's taking it easy.
Yeah, ARS advantage as well. So if Mikhail does, come back in, and we know Captain of Gold, the Mercedes squad, they've sort of planned for the worst case scenario throughout the races. He's reserving ERS now in case there's a full safety car. Mikhail gets into the pit, fresh wing, tyres are equalised. He wants the advantage, but if we had a safety car, the ERS would sort of be equalised anyway. So Captain of Gold now just playing it safe, not over pushing the car, not asking too much from the tyres. He's actually on the older tyres as well, only by a lap, but still at this stage of the race, going to try the one stop around here. They won't be feeling brilliant towards the end. So just trying to play it smart, keep himself in that top spot. He's been wanting a win for a while. Just doesn't need to throw it away now. Mikhail, though, is catching. And with wing damage, I am just amazed. It is as a result of pushing with ERS, but it's still impressive nonetheless that the AlphaTauri is able to push. And if he pushes into DRS range, well, that could be a problem for Captain of Gold.
Yeah, certainly. It's just a question of whether Mikhail by the end of the race will have as much
Varrock
grip
and
in the
Helium
front
side by
tyres
side
as
at
he's
Sandees.
needed.
He's got into the rear of Helium. Helium, well, he slid a little bit, drops the positions to the racing point and won't be too happy about it. And now, very late on the brakes, but both drivers a little bit late there. So, oh, there's a spin.
Whoa!
The Williams is around, and it continues to go downhill. And he's reversed it in the wrong direction. There's Sandees off the inside, smashes it off the wall. And my goodness, what are we seeing here? The last race of the season. And that racing point is off in a section you don't always see it. Just squeezed it in a gap that didn't exist. And now there's another VSC. Can Mikhail play the Delta once more? Rutanius, Emso, they're into the pits. They're going to take advantage of the slightly eased pit stop. It's not free like under the safety car. It's a VSC, but it is a little bit nicer than pitting in full green flag conditions. The VSC is still active, so they won't have lost too much time. They'll lose about a position each. It will be a position each because there's no one else behind them who's not in the pits because Helium's hopped in as well. But this has been bizarre. Mikhail again gains a huge number of tenths after the VSC. Brilliant stuff from the Australian.
Yeah, this one wasn't as effective as last time, but he still gains time on him from the last gap before the VSC came out, and now he's just fallen back again. I feel like Captain of Gold is playing a game here and just playing it safe, just judging from the way he's able to pull out some gaps out of traction zones.
When he's got the full front wing, he's also got the ERS advantage by about 30%, and that's powerful, especially in the late stages.
I'd think Mikhail would have it under control, but I'm just concerned for his tyres, considering he'd have to be pushing that car to its limits. Front end, rear end, doesn't really matter. That front wing would severely be affecting how he's driving and handling the car, so especially how much the tyres are being used with all that mechanical grip being needed because of the loss of the downforce. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how these final 8-9 laps unfold.
Well, combined YouTuber, he's going in for another stop here, and he's got the gap behind, so this might not be a bad call for the Ferrari. Hops into the pit lane and gets himself onto some softs. Maybe a fastest lap attempt? He's got to take them to the end, but I think he just wants to cover off the softs behind.
Yeah, I mean, he did have a massive gap, but needless to say, old mediums versus fresh softs. Fresh softs absolutely ate the old mediums for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So it's a smart move if he has pace on the cars behind. Obviously, Rutanius is there. He could pose maybe a little bit of a problem, but he does have that 3-second penalty, so that's not too much of an issue. Varrock, he may be on softs as well, but they're 5 laps older, and we can already see he's dropping time to combine on the straight, so seems like Combine's just done it to make sure he doesn't get a puncture at the end of the race to potentially lose that podium position.
Mikau has snuck into the 1 second window. He's dancing on it. He did push a lot of ERS to get there. So I imagine Captain will repay the favor and pull out of that 1 second window again. But, oh, well, if there was ever a time not to get a penalty, today would be the day. But Mikau, 3 seconds as Rutanius gets another as well. But 3 seconds to add to his time makes a very, very difficult job even more seemingly impossible. For 4-time race winner, qualifying didn't really go anyone's way. A lot of invalidated lap times, a lot of just bizarre shenanigans, cars desynced, blocking laps, etc. Mikau won't have DRS on Captain of Gold here. Rutanius on Varrock. Varrock into the pit lane. I don't know if that was damaged. He seems to be losing quite the time there. Rutanius gets onto the fastest lap. And it's no front wing change. It is just a fresh set of softs. So he just wants to go to the end. Those softs probably want to take in Varrock all the way to the checkered flag. So just getting into the pit lane as early as he needs to. He will be able to take those to the end, just like a lot of the other drivers. Helium's just come in for mediums. I don't know if he hadn't already used this size. I'm pretty... Oh, well, he's retiring for the session in the pit lane. So we're down to just 6 drivers. And most drivers not challenging one another for positions. Mikau, Captain of Gold. It seems like this is done and dusted, but just when we've thought that everything's been wrapped up in previous races, Seb, it's always been flipped on its head. So if you're Captain of Gold right now, it may seem like an easy task, but he's really got to keep himself switched on in these last few laps.
Oh, exactly. Late safety car and a potential penalty for Captain of Gold. See him drop below Mikau. Mikau showing great pace when he has a clean wing. So, you know, anything can happen. It's racing. I mean, we've seen it all throughout this season, season 4, not just APAC, all the divisions. Throw your mind back to that Hungary race in the Americas division. That was absolutely superb, that finish. You couldn't write a better script than that, even if you tried to. So, like I said, anything can happen. And you just have to keep your wits about you and keep your head sharp. The race is not over till that you pass that checkered flag and the fat lady sings.
Rutanius picking up fastest lap again there. The Dutch driver really, you know, trying to get as many points for the team as possible. And he's still on for a possible podium. You know, you can put it past him. His penalties might play a bit of a role in preventing that. But combined YouTuber there, you know, still having a great run. 3rd place, defending as well with that, you know, fresh set of softs. 9 seconds to Rutanius, 3 seconds to Mikau, and 3 seconds to Emzo. That is the penalty situation across the board. So half the grid now with penalties, half of them without. And Rutanius, well, he's got a lot of them. And despite that, he won't actually drop because he's got enough of a gap behind to the McLaren of Emzo to prevent that from happening. A little look at the ERS situation. Captain of Gold now, about a 40% advantage as Mikau, he's run wide again through the penultimate corner. That wing damage is not helping him. He now sits with 6 seconds of penalties. But luckily for him, there's a 27.6 gap behind. And that will be his buffer, but that again makes his mountain much tougher to climb. He needs Captain of Gold to make a mistake. And for the Mercedes' sake, he'll be hoping that he doesn't. But for Mikau, he will be wanting it more than anything right now. As the camera just switches on to one of the Ferraris. But Mikau he's sticking with that 1.2 second range. He's going down into the single digits on the ERS though now. He's pushed with everything he's got. There's 5 laps left, and it's been great to see him try and stick with this fight. But again, just sipping the battery now. He can't just take it in huge gulps anymore because he's just flat. He's 6% into the braking zone, gets a bit of that back, but a bit of a problem there. As Seb, you seem to have a little bit of a disconnection.
Yeah, that's right. Just the internet cutting out a little bit, so I'll get myself back in. But yeah, as you were saying, pressing hard, and you can tell you're driving.
Don't know what's going on, but there seems to be a little lag in Discord as well. So
like that loss of front end downforce and
well, back into the lobby. So I don't know whether that fixes everything, but like I said, Discord there, a bit of a robot for a moment. Fingers crossed, everything irons itself out at the end of this race. Rutanius, his 4th penalty of the evening. It brings his total to 12 seconds. And that sort of brings Emzo within it, but Emzo 3 seconds of himself, so it'll be close, but we'll see what happens here as we are in the last few laps. As Mikko just drops like about half a second in that last lap. Soon Captain of Gold, the damage, the lack of battery now really costing him. Captain still half of his battery in the tank. Just preserving it, waiting for the last few moments. Just to make sure that there is no one who can challenge him for that top spot. And right now, doing very, very well to ensure that he does pick it up. It's been his goal all season. Get a win. Ben the Bear, not here today. Controller issues following on from last night's Austrian endurance race, where he was on for a great finish there, a podium, but it wasn't to be for the Thai driver, who tied with 3 laps to go. 68 of 71 laps with controller issues. Obviously not able to get that done. Mikko is in. He is going to go for, I guess, flying lap. A front wing change at soft tyres. He might come out behind Captain combined YouTuber here, and with the penalty situation, Mikko might finish P3. We'll see what happens. If Rutanius can get past here, it'll be 12 seconds versus 6, I think. It is, so it seems unlikely. But here comes Mikko. He's out of the pit box. Combined YouTuber. Does he have the pace left in those tyres? They're 4 laps older than Mikko's will be, but he might be ahead here, and he should be. Rutanius, where's he going to land with Mikko? Mikko's out of the tunnel. And, well, Varrock's out. Varrock's crashed again. Same place where we saw Sandeezy off.
Wow. This is...
That's a VSC.
Absolutely absurd. We're only going to have another VSC. We're only going to have 5 finishes here. We have 4 laps remaining. Mikko should be able to get combined. Obviously, you said before the question of whether he can pull that gap with that 6 seconds worth of time penalties. But, yeah, it's just... Races died down a fair bit, but you can still see a little bit of action here. We'll see if Mikko can once again pull off some virtual safety car restart masterclasses. I've seen him do that a couple of times already this race, but yeah.
Well, a fresh front wing, soft tyres, plus, you know, opportunity here to pick up 1 point for fastest lap. The problem he has is that combined YouTuber penalty free, just like Captain of Gold is up at the top there. 5 races left. We've lost 7 in this race, and we've got a few laps to go. DRS re-enabled. Mick, well, not the safety car restart he's had in the past. He's actually just out of 1 second range of combined YouTuber as well. Rutanius, he didn't get a great VSC restart either. No drive-throughs though for everyone, so that's what they'll be hoping for, you know. Captain of Gold, I imagine, giving his margins, you know, a healthy buffer there to avoid picking up a drive-through of his own, because that would have thrown his race. And, well, he might have still been able to win here, but combined YouTuber might have been able to pin him to the line. Rutanius into the pit lane. Again, maybe another fastest lap attempt trying to defend from Mikko's go, but this is going to drop him behind Emzo here, so it might not be worth it. Combined YouTuber under a lot of pressure from Mikau, the AlphaTauri, all over the rear of the Ferrari. Lap 26 of 28. Here goes Mikau, who combines YouTuber way wide on the exit of 7. And as easy as you like, Mikau, even before the DRS zone, swoops past on the inside. And that is the AlphaTauri up into P2 once more. Now the goal is to try and get 6 seconds. The problem he has, there's only 2.5 laps left in the race.
And another problem is Combined will have DRS for at least one straight. I'll keep him in it just a little bit longer than Mikau would like, but Mikau's already pulling away a fair bit. We'll see how he goes in this last sector.
Well, the floodlights well and truly on now. Obviously, Abu Dhabi a lot darker now. It's on a few races at night time, and Mikau, well, he has put a bit of distance between himself and Combined. Has he got enough in that car? Right now, as it stands, it looks like he might. It's going to be close between the two of them. Not on track, but in terms of penalties, Combined YouTuber needs to make sure he doesn't pick up a 3 seconds, because if he does, well, then it's game over for him. So we'll see here. Mikau, can he get fastest lap? He doesn't do it on that run round, and given that he had DRS there, obviously, although there was that VSC actually, so he needs to
well,
make sure
it looks like he will get it. Yeah, it looks like he will get it, just judging from his pace so far. Purple sector 1, 7/10 in front of Combined within that one lap, or sorry, one sector I should say. Just pulling out some time now. Look how much time he pulls out in one traction zone. He's really going for it.
This is an impressive, lap or a few laps from Mikau here, proving why he is runner-up in this championship. Very, very quick here, and just hasn't been the season he would have wanted. Obviously, Ben the Bear has just sort of ran away with it at the start. Mikau was sort of holding him accountable. Obviously, Ben didn't even score points in the first 2 rounds. 11th in Australia, and then obviously that huge incident in Bahrain that just completely cost him. And it looked like it was a rocky start for Ben, who had had a previous season plagued with sort of issues with connection, etc. But now the championship is wrapped up. Mikau just having one last sort of burst of speed, a bit of fun on the last race of the season. Captain has gone on to his last lap of the race. Mikau, is it fastest lap? I don't think it was. It was 6.5 tenths faster than his previous best, but he put everything into it. So I think that accolade might have stuck with Rutanius, and it does. A 134.7. Mikau did a 134.7 as well, just 4 tenths short of the fastest lap. And he will not be best pleased with that one. But what a drive. He's just about got the 6 seconds he needs to combine. There it is. And that is just superb driving from Mikau. Interesting to see Rutanius, though, having that pit stop. He didn't need to now. So he'll probably be a little bit annoyed that he's lost out to Emzo. He possibly could have finished ahead of the McLaren. Won't happen now unless Emzo crashes on the last lap. Everyone on the last lap, apart from the 7 drivers who didn't get to the last lap, but everyone who is. No one's been lapped this race. They haven't lasted long enough to allow that to happen. Captain of Gold now. Well, he is burning a bit of his ERS now. Hopefully he doesn't push too hard, but he's got enough of a buffer here that he can do pretty much whatever he wants, provided he just makes it across the checkered flag in, the next few moments. But Captain of Gold, he's been on the podium 9 times. He'll make it 10, but for the first time, it will be on the top step, and he is weaving the fireworks for him. And he, on the final race of the season, becomes the 3rd winner here in APAC. It's been Ben the Bear and Mikau when Ben drops the ball. But now, Captain of Gold gets what he wanted. 1 win under his belt. And it's been a long time coming, well deserved for the Mercedes driver. P3 in the championship, P1 in the constructors, P1 in the combined, and now he's P1 here in Abu Dhabi as well. Mikau, P2, just misses out on fastest lap. Possibly would have been a different story had he not gone into the rear of the Racing Point of Sandisi earlier on. But that mistake cost him his 5th win of the season. Combined YouTuber, his first podium. It's an evening for firsts. Captain of Gold's first win. Combined YouTuber's first podium. Emzo finishes P4 ahead of Rutanius, who is doing donuts. The Tier 3 champion picking up some more points here for the Racing Point squad. And he is just enjoying it. I do believe he's on a new wheel. So good bit of practice hopefully for him. And he has put quite the time marks on the track there. Really enjoying himself. And this wraps up the season for all of our tiered divisions. And what a season it's been. It has been absolutely incredible. And there we go, Rutanius doing a burnout across the line. But that wraps up APAC, Seb. And, well, it wasn't the race I don't think we were expecting. But for Captain of Gold, I imagine he is absolutely delighted.
For sure. We were talking about it earlier on in the stream. This was a goal of his, and he's got the goal, so look at that celebration. Can't be happier than that. I think it's a great moment when you finally get that first race win. And he's finally got it. So congrats to Cap on that good drive, that solid drive.
Absolutely, and he'll be delighted. Hopefully we can get an interview with him in a moment. Driver of the day goes to Sandy's. He, despite not finishing the race, still getting the accolade. Obviously, most positions gained. But there it is. The final classifications for Abu Dhabi. Captain of Gold from 2nd on the grid. 1 stop. The only driver to finish the race on 1 stop. Takes him to the top stop of the podium for the first time. Mikau, P2, 6 seconds of penalties. Managed to put the gap between himself and Combined YouTuber. Failed to get the fastest lap though by just 0.04 of a second there. Combined 6th to 3rd. Great race from him to get his first podium of the season. Emzo qualifying. Well, it went his way. A lot of botched laps in the final, segment for various drivers for various reasons. But Emzo not able to capitalize. A very, very shaky race, but manages to claw back to P4, given that he was fighting for around P7 for most of that race, and not a bad finish for him. Rutanius, P5 here, started 5th, finishes 5th, and again, another chaotic race for the Dutchman, just like he had in Tier 3. Varrock, P6 in the Ferrari from 11th on the grid, didn't finish, crashed out in the final few stages. Game that taking us out pretty early from the classification, but my oh my, what a finale we have just had there. We've got interviews with all of the top 3, and we'll kick those off. Of course, for the first time this season, the Ferrari driver, P6 in the standings. Combined, what a drive. How does it feel? I mean, it was 11th to 3rd, your first podium of the season in the last race. What are your thoughts after that one?
Oh, just a good feeling, really. I was there the whole race. I was pretty chill with the like it was pretty boring the whole time, but I just kept it clean and gained advantage of incidents.
Well,
so
yeah, that sort of was sort of the narrative this evening. Obviously, started outside the top 10. I think you started on the medium tires, and just sort of, was that always the plan? Did you want to start on the mediums, or what was sort of the game plan going in?
I started 6th.
Oh, my apologies. I must be thinking of the wrong one. Oh. Well, my apologies.
It's alright.
Seb, maybe you're more informed to take this one. It's been a long race.
It's okay, honestly. It's fine. It's okay.
Wow.
But a chaotic race.
Yeah.
Definitely. But yeah, the softs then at the start of the race, qualifying, the last few laps for a lot of people didn't really go their way. Sort of, how difficult was it to set a lap in that qualifying session? There was apparently a few desynced sort of cars around. Just talk us through that a bit, because we haven't really obviously spoken to any of the drivers yet, but a few issues in the last few stages of the qualifying.
Was it? I don't know, but the softs did not feel good in the race, like at the end when they died. But otherwise it was a pretty okay quali lap. I made a few mistakes, but overall not bad. But I'm not sure about the desyncs. I didn't know there was any.
Well, Combined, a great race from you. Congratulations on your first podium of the season. Sort of wraps up the season nicely, I imagine. One last hurrah and getting yourself on that podium. You were the highest person in the standings without one, but you've got one to your name now. So combined, congratulations. Thank you for driving throughout the season. It's been a pleasure. I think you've been here for every single race, if I'm not mistaken, and finishing all but Monaco and the round opener as well in Australia. But a great season. Thank you for driving, all the way through. But it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, moving on then. P2, it's been, the story of the season really, Mikkel. It's Ben the Bear not here today. A great opportunity for someone else to win it. And now, it looked like you had an opportunity to win it. You went into the Rio San Easy, and it's P2 again. How are you feeling after that one?
Yeah, a bit disappointed. Definitely had the pace to win the race today. Fortunate that Ben wasn't able to see out the final round, but congrats to Captain of Gold. He's been right there with us the entire season, and it was a matter of time, really. I might as well have a patent on that runner-up spot. I seem to find myself there one way or another, but it was an entertaining race, at least from between Cap and myself. Very, very intense, and a fun way to close out the season from our side.
Yeah, obviously, you did get that front wing damage. Like you said, you did have the pace to, potentially take that win, but you didn't seem to be losing too much. Obviously, a lot of pushing with the battery and the VSCs as well. Talk us through those restarts, because every time you seem to gain, between 2 and 4 tenths on Captain every time. So were you just risking as much as possible, running the line narrowly for a drive through, or was it just, you just nailed it every time?
There was definitely a little bit of trying to push the boundary as much as I could, because I knew it would be very difficult to catch up to Captain with the front wing damage. But I just did my usual procedures with the virtual safety cars, sort of let the delta drop to like +1 second or so, and then just try and time it when it's ending, and then just have enough of a gap so that when you're up to speed and the delta's going back towards the red, that you're able to not get a drive through and just carry that speed through. So yeah, the virtual safety car restarts were pretty strong. But yeah, just again, congrats to Captain. I just couldn't quite close up enough.
Yeah, well, obviously, the season now all wrapped up, completed, all 22 rounds. Just before we let you go, what was your highlight for the season? Because it's been an interesting one. Obviously, you've been fighting up at the top all season long. Just what was the standout moment for you? If there's one that sticks out in your mind, just off the top of your head.
I'd have to go. A unicorn. You'd have to go all the way back to well, I believe it's the 26th of January with the opening round at Australia. That was definitely the highlight. At least one of the highlights for my season. Battling with. I believe it was Remco and Domi for basically the entire race for that race win. Definitely one that stands out. Bahrain as well. Nice to get a win there. My first pole as well in Hungary. That was pretty good. But yeah, no, just it's been a great season. Happy to get second place again. Although that makes it 3 seasons now in MRL where I've finished runner-up, and I don't know if the curse is ever going to break, honestly. But yeah, congrats to Ben, lightning quick. Hopefully, can see him in tier 1 with those really quick guys. And all the guys over here in APAC. Hope to see them around in some of the community races as well. And of course, the lovely viewers, and of course you do, Seb and Unicorn. Thank you for a lovely season.
Yeah, well, Mikkel, thank you very much, of course, and like you said, it's been a great season, but, wrapped it all up now. P2, it's been a great season, but Mikkel, thank you as always for taking the time for the interview.
Yeah, no worries, guys. Cheers.
And then, one last interview. It's been, 10 times on the podium now. It's his 10th interview, but for the first time ever in the last race, Captain, you finally got it. P1. I'll let Seb do it, but how are you feeling after that one?
Pretty chuffed with that one. I mean, yeah, far out. Yeah, Mick kept me really honest at the at the beginning stages and the second stint. But yeah, I just drove the most consistent race I think I've ever driven. So yeah, happy not coming second place again.
Yeah, congratulations, Cap. We saw in qualifying you were on an absolutely blistering last lap, and you yourself got impeded by Sid. Just what was going through your mind at that point? You know, you had a chance at the win, but it felt like early on it might not have been your day.
Yeah, that did throw me off a little bit. I mean, at the first chicane after the chicane after the first straight, I kind of muddled up the lap there. Lost like a good tenth or two. And then, yeah, obviously with Sid, that threw me off, and then I just went too wide into the first corner, and then, yeah, it wasn't ideal, but I mean, P2 on the grid was still pretty good, and it worked pretty well.
Yeah, and we saw that Mikau got damage in the mid stages of the race. We saw you were just kind of keeping gap to him. Was that by design, just to look after the tires, or did you not have the pace to him even with that wing damage?
Yeah, he was just mighty quick. I mean, I was just trying to go as fast as I could and try save ERS in case he did get into that 1 second gap in attack. So yeah, he was. I mean, granted, he had a full wing. He probably would have got me, but I just had to keep it consistent. And then he ended up getting the penalties, and then it was a lot of pressure relieved after then.
And finally, I know you've said it multiple times that your goal was to win a race here in MRL in this season, but at what point in the race did it finally hit you that you were going to win?
Oh, I mean, it definitely sunk in as soon as Mick pitted for the softs. But I was just thinking probably about with 10 laps to go, if I just keep the pace going, I've got it pretty easily, because I mean, there was places where Mick was pretty much outright quick, and then there's a few corners where I could like get a tenth on him. So I was pretty confident by that stage it was going to be mine, and yeah, I'm glad it happens.
That's all from me. Not sure if Unicorn has any more questions, but congrats, Cap.
Cheers, buddy.
Yeah, Captain, just congratulations on a great season. You know, P3 now, you know, wrapping up with your final, you know, hurrah, the first place. I'd ask you what the highlight of the season has been, but I think it might be pretty clear. But other than tonight, anything that sort of stood out as, you know, one of your favourites from, you know, the season that we've had?
I think first I want to shout out the Merc boys, because I mean, we're very we worked well together, so that's also what you want from a team. And Ben for that matter, we worked exceptionally well, so I was very thankful to have him as my teammate, and hopefully we can continue that. But yeah, highlights other than that is probably the Baku comeback, where I was on the escape road, turn 1, lap 1, then pulled off second place. That was pretty good as well. But yeah, overall, I mean, coming to a new league, it's a good environment. I enjoyed it. So I'll most definitely be around for next season. Hopefully better things to come.
Well, Captain, congratulations. Thank you as always for taking the time to interview, and, you know, just huge congratulations for the win. It's been a long time coming. Glad you finally got one.
Yeah. Awesome. Cheers, buddy. Take it easy.
And with that, well, we wrap up not only today's stream, but APAC Division and the tier divisions as a whole for the season. It's the last race of Season 4. Obviously, Season 5 around the corner in the new game tonight. We round up the F2. But Seb, it's been a great season. It's been a pleasure to commentate alongside you. Any last words before we round up the final APAC stream of the season? Don't know if Seb, if you're still there. I can't hear you, unfortunately. I don't know if the microphone has taken a bit of a tumble. well, that's not exactly the most ideal way to round out the APAC Division season, but thank you to everyone who's watched. Obviously, we started off live over on the Twitch, transferred over to the YouTube, but it's an up and down season. Ben the Bear, obviously, astonishing pace. We haven't seen him here in the final, but he's still wrapped it up. Mikau, Captain Remco, you know, all at the top there. A great midfield fight as well for those other positions. But thank you to everyone who's watched. Oh, Seb, I think you might have come back. I don't know if you've got it back there. Apparently not, but that's it from us. Thank you as always for watching. F2 tonight, like I said, the final round here again at Abu Dhabi for that one. But until then, until Season 5, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
We are back. We are back with some Tier 1 action.
And notice the AlphaTauri of Adrian straight head on into the Red Bull. And the Kai Bacchini has joined the party, and he's on these medium compound tires in the Merc. This very late braking from the Ferrari. He locks up and he blocks Zamis. And who is that? That is Jean with a fantastic exit, and he is going to get ahead of both of them here. So I believe it's crossing the line now, checkered flag. Adam and Bajar in the first two to catch it early. Vettel now rounding the final two turns of 22 and 23 here in Singapore. The racing points collect the 1-2. Battery, there goes Ben the Bear now just ahead, taking the checkered flag, coming through the Casio triangle. It's still wheel to wheel between these two. Mick out with a great traction. Oh, what a run out of the chicane, and he gets it done. How's the exit for the Ferrari? Good so far. You can see wheel to wheel coming down the straight into turn 4. It's the Ferrari leading through. Ben, wheel to wheel now with Revo, and he has so much pace in this racing point right now. It's wheel to wheel between these two. How's somebody gonna go? He's drifted off. Does the exit? What an exit out of the Williams. Does he get him? There goes a big snap. Jake looking on the inside of 8 and 9. It's the Mercedes coming around the outside of 9. Does he get this move done on Tim? This is huge. This is absolutely massive. A drag race coming through 10 now, down into 11. Here we go, and Zamis has the popcorn.
So Yukio tries to turn in, and Domi just says,
oh, and the Stars.
Goes for a second.
What a move from the Stars. That is the Renault of Van Putten up the inside of the Williams into turn 1. Freeware's gonna get Yoda. Freeware's gonna get Yoda.
Yoda wins the race!